This is page 128, and this video will be the word problems from the bottom of the page. We'll get through as many as we can in about 12 minutes. Number 15 reads, Corinne has 9 6/10 pounds of trail mix to divide into 12 bags. How many pounds of trail mix will go into each bag? So that means she has 9.6 pounds. She's dividing it into 12 bags. There is no decimal in 12. 12 is the divisor. There's no decimal there, so I don't have to move any decimals at all. Some kids would want to move this decimal right here, but you only have to do that if there's a decimal in the divisor too. And 12 doesn't go into 9, but it does go into 96, and it goes in exactly 8 times. 8 times 12 is 96. So you subtract, you get a 0 here. We're done subtracting. But the answer is not 8 though, because this decimal goes straight up. The answer is 0.8. And it's 0.8 pounds. We should be labeling these 0.8 pounds. And we could check our answer by multiplying. We're going to multiply these two things. We're going to multiply our, oops, wrong thing. We're going to multiply our quotient by our divisor, and we should get our dividend. So if I go 12 times 0.8, I get 9.6, and that's what I was supposed to get. Okay, cool. We are done with number 15. Let's check out number 16. Michael paid $11.48 for sliced cheese at the deli counter. The cheese cost $3.28 per pound. How much cheese did Michael buy? So we're going to take the total, which is $11.28, and we're going to divide it by the price per pound, which is $3.28. And I wrote that down wrong. It's supposed to be $11.48. So it's $11.48 is the total divided by $3.28. All right, so on this problem, as opposed to number 15, in my divisor, I have a decimal, and I have to multiply it by 100 to make the divisor a whole number. And then whatever you do to the divisor, you do to the dividend. So I multiply that by 100. So now I actually have 1,148 divided by 328. And I have no idea how many times 328 goes into a 1,148, but I'm thinking 3. 4 would be too high. If you did 4 times 3, you'd get 12. That's too high, so I'm thinking 3. So I'm going to do 328 times 3, and I'm going to get 24. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8, and 9. So I think it's going to be 984. Let's find out. I'm going to put a 3 right here, because 3 times 328 is 984, and if I line up 984 anywhere else, it wouldn't make a lot of sense. So now I subtract, I'm going to get 8 minus 4 is 4. And I'm going to borrow, and 14 minus 8 is 6, and 10 minus 9 is 1. I got 164. And I don't know, no, I take that back. 164 is a huge remainder, but it is less than the divisor, which means I can keep going. My decimal got moved over. It's going to go straight up. Now I'm going to annex a 0 and drop the 0, and I got to ask myself, how many times is 328 going to 1640? And I'm thinking 5, and here's why. If I just look at the 3 and the 16, I say 3 goes into 16 5 times. I'm going to go ahead and check it right here. I'm going to do 328 times 5. 5 times 8 is 40. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 4 is 14. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16, and I guessed it right. So rounding and estimating can help you make really good guesses. 5 times 328 is 1640. If I subtract, I get 0, which means I'm done. And the answer is 3.5. 3.5 what? Let's go find our unit. 3.5 pounds. It says, how much cheese did Michael buy? 3.5 pounds. All right, cool. We are done with the first two problems. Let's move on. Number 17. A 4-person relay team completed a race in 72 and 4/10 seconds. On average, what was each runner's time? Average is a tricky way. It's not even tricky, actually. Average is one way to describe division, because we take the total and divide it by the number of people. So it's going to be, this problem is going to be 72 and 4/10 divided by 4. And since 4 is a whole number, we don't have to do any moving of decimals. 4 goes into 7 only once. 4 goes into 32 8 times. 8 times 4 is 32. 4 goes into 4 once. I'm done dividing. Decimal goes straight up. The answer is 18.1. 18.1 what? 18.1 seconds. We could check our answer by multiplication here. We think that there are 18.1 seconds as the answer times 4 runners is 72.4. That makes a lot of sense. Perfect. Let's check out number 18. 18. Elizabeth has a piece of ribbon that is 4 5/10 meters long. She wants to cut the ribbon into pieces that are 0 and 25/100. How many pieces of ribbon will she have? That means 4 5/10 divided by 0 and 25/100. Remember, when we have a decimal in the divisor, we have to move it until as many places as we need to make it a whole number. That means to move it twice, which means we have to move the decimal in the dividend twice, which means we annex a 0. Now I have 450 divided by 25. 25 goes into 45 only once because 2 times 25 would be 50, and that would be too high. So 1 times 25 is 25. 5 minus 5 is 0, and 4 minus 2 is 2. And 20 is smaller than 25, which means I did it correctly. I dropped my next 0. 25 goes into 208 times. I'm thinking about quarters. How many quarters makes up $2? 8. 8 times 25 is exactly 200. And I'm done. The answer is 18, as in 18 whole. How many pieces of ribbon will she have? She will have 18 pieces of ribbon. Cool. Moving on. Number 19. Lisa paid $43.95 for 16.1 gallons of gasoline. What is the cost per gallon to the nearest hundredth? So we're going to round this to the nearest hundredth. So the cost per gallon means we're going to take the cost, $43.95, and divide it by the number of gallons, 16.1. This is going to be a challenging problem, but I will help you to the best of my ability. First thing we're going to do is change the divisor into a whole number by multiplying it by 10. And then remember that whatever you do to the divisor, you do the dividend, so you multiply it by 10. And the other way of describing that is we take each decimal and move it one place to the right. Now I have 161 into 439, and it's not going to be 3, because 3 times 16 would be 48, and that would be higher than 43. So it's only going to be 2. So off to the side here, I'm going to do 161 times 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. I get 322. I forgot to put my 2 here. 2 times 161 is 322. 9 minus 2 is 7. 3 minus 2 is 1. And 4 minus 3 is 1. And while 117 is a huge remainder, it is smaller than my divisor, which means I did it right. Now I ask myself, how many times does 161? Oops, I forgot to draw my 5. Go into 1,175, and I honestly don't know the answer to that. I could guess 6 or 7. Maybe I'll try 7, and I'll see if that one's too high. I don't even really have good estimation skills for this one. 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times 6 is 42. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 4 is 11. And I actually guessed it right. I really didn't know the answer to that, but I just used a guess, and it turned out pretty good. 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times 6 is 42. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 4 is 11. And I think that's as close as I can get to this number. Got 15. I'm going to borrow. 15 minus 7 is 8. 6 minus 2 is 4. 11 minus 11 is 0, so I've got 48. That's smaller than 161, so it means I did it right. But I'm not done, because I have a remainder. So my decimal goes here. Remember, my decimal got moved here and goes here. So I've got 2.7. And the reason why I'm checking how far my answer is because I'm supposed to go out to round to the nearest hundredth. So I need to keep going. Need to drop this 0. And the answer is almost 3. Here's why. 16 would go into 48 3 times, but since this is a little higher than 16, since it's 16.1, it's not going to go in there exactly 3 times, which means it's going to be 2 again. I already did this problem earlier. 161 times 2 is 322. So I'm going to put a 2 here. And some kids might say, oh, you're done. I'm not quite done yet. I will be real quick. 2 times 161 is 322. And I need to make my whiteboard a little bit longer. And I've got now borrow. 10 minus 2 is 8. 7 minus 2 is 5. And 4 minus 3 is 1. And I've got a remainder, but it is smaller than this, so I need to drop this 0. And how many times does 161 go into 1,580? I think it's probably going to be 9. I'm going to check that real quick. 161 times 9. 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times 6 is 54. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 4 is 14. So that number would go under there. So I'm going to put a 9 here, but I can stop. But Mr. Smith, that's not going to be exact. It doesn't matter. I just need to round to the nearest hundredth. So the hundredth is, I'm going to go ahead and change color real quick. The hundredth is going to be this place right here. So you look to the right and 9 rounds up. So my answer is 272. Nope, it's 273 because this 9 would round that 2 up. It's 273. We're talking about the cost per gallon in money. So the answer is $2.73. Okay, we are out of time for this page, so we are going to stop there. I'm going to go ahead and delete that, and I'm going to let you skip number 20. And number 21 says, when you're dividing 2 decimals, how can you check whether you have divided the decimals correctly? I would say either round and estimate, or use a calculator. Calculator to multiply. I like to use a calculator to multiply the quotient by the divisor. That's 2 ways to get that. So either round and estimate or use a calculator to multiply the quotient by the divisor. Okay, that's it. You are done with page, I think this was page 128. You're done with page 128. Good job.